What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Rantin Review Pro Wrestling. We got some WWE stuff to talk about today. They had Extreme Rules, pay-per-view, premium live event, whatever the hell you want to call it, this past Saturday. And yeah, the streak of WWE just kind of reaching this plateau now where, you know, they are what they are, people accept what they are, and they're not actually putting some effort into it, so it's kind of taken on a new life. It does feel like we are in a new era of WWE, and it's slowly, as the changes slowly happen. But we're going to talk about that and what happened on this show in this review, in this video. But before we get to that, I want to remind you guys that, as always, I got free goodies down for you in the description box below, so check that out. You can get some free stocks from Webull, up to 12 free stocks. The promo's still going on. Get it while you can. At the bare minimum, it's like $34, you know, if you get the cheapest of cheapest stocks from the random pick, and it could be anywhere up to $1,800 if you get very lucky. So check that out down in the description box below, along with some of the other affiliate links and deals we got down there. Hopefully some of that stuff will be of use to you. And now let's talk about Extreme Rules from WWE. I'm going to say this off the bat about this pay-per-view, is that this pay-per-view did not feel like it went on forever, because this is not one of those 4, 5, 6 hour pay-per-views. So, you know, there are only 6 matches on the card, I believe, which kind of proves if you've got some good storylines going on, it is enough to, A, pack a building, because Philly was packed that night. That arena was rocking all night, or almost all night. That crowd was really good for that WWE show. We started off with the Bruisers, Sheamus and Ridge Holland and Pete Dunne, aka Butch, taking on Imperium, Volta, or Gunther's charges, which, you know, following that match of the year that they contender that they had between Gunther and Sheamus back at that UK show, man. People were looking forward to this. This match, not as good as that one, but for a 6-man tag team match, it was pretty damn awesome. Maybe we should get some trios titles in WWE, but yeah, this was a lot of fun, man. And they kept going, and every time you thought the match was kind of going to come to an end, there would be some save by somebody. Of course, Pete Dunne is, entertainment-wise, the standout in this whole thing. He's him jumping around, acting crazy, and just wanting to fight anybody. Doesn't matter if it was 3-on-1, he was still fighting and swinging. But Sheamus's crew gets the big win at the end. Not the best debut for Imperium as a group on their first pay-per-view to get a loss like that, but Imperium is a formidable and a very interesting faction in the current world of WWE. I don't think they're done yet, so we'll see what happens with them in the future. Ronda Rousey was challenging Liv Morgan for one of the WWE Women's Championships. I believe it's a Smackdown title. I can't keep track anymore. But no, yes, it is. And this was a pretty good match. It showed a little bit of a different side of Liv Morgan that they've been hinting at for a while now. Rousey just being Rousey and just being the baddest woman on the planet. One of 2 matches tonight involving former MMA stars in a WWE ring, winning in a very MMA kind of way, as Rousey was just manipulating the crap out of, and just really coming up with almost Zack Sabre Jr. kind of maneuvers here and trying to get Liv Morgan to tap, who doesn't tap and passes out with a smile on her face. Maybe she lost the championship. Ronda Rousey's your new champion. The crowd was a little bit shocked by that result, which makes what happens later in the night a little bit confusing to me, but maybe not so much. But Ronda Rousey is your new champion here. Liv Morgan kind of laughing after the whole thing is over with. The Liv Morgan is one of those interesting stories in WWE where, like, I remember, because again, I haven't watched a lot of weekly Smackdown. I did do 30 days of watching Monday Night Raw for a month, but I'm still not quite up to speed on all the storylines currently going on in WWE in the mid-card and below. So this whole thing with Liv Morgan, like, I knew she was really popular a couple months ago, and people really wanted her to get a championship, and then she got the championship, and now people started booing her, I saw. So I don't know what's going on with the character, but hopefully they can find somewhere for her to settle where the fans are kind of okay with where she's at, because they never seem to be satisfied wherever this woman is placed at. Over to the Raw Women's Championship, Bianca Belair defending against Bayley in a ladder match. Now, Bianca was going to be without her backup in this, I think they call them the, what do they call them? The problem fixers or whatever? I don't know the name of Bayley's faction. Damage Control, that's what it is. Damage Control. Damage Control is there in full force, but Asuka And oh boy, yeah, so ironic that she was gone on this evening too. But Alexa Bliss was also not there because of what had happened earlier in the week on WWE TV. So Bianca had to go into this ladder match, and yeah, of course, the other members of Bayley's crew got in there, and there was some nasty bumps taken by these women, the women in this match. And I will have to say, again, the WWE's women's division, when it's on, is one of the best women's divisions in the world. And when it's off, you have people asking questions like, why are they doing it? Why are they doing this? But I think with performers like we've seen in this match with Bianca Belair and Bayley, who are established, proven in-ring performers as well as characters, and you also got Ronda Rousey, Liv Morgan still trying to find her way. It is those performers which have carried WWE's women's division to be respected now, where again, I remember when it was the Divas division and it wasn't respected at all. It's a testament to how far they've come, that these women have hung in there and stuck it out and really established something decent more times than not. Again, they still got major problems with the tag division, but the WWE's women's division on this night shone out. Bianca Belair making the amazing grab at the end, being able to pull down the championship from the ladder and retain her championship, which I believe she's about to become the longest reigning African-American women's champion in WWE history. So I think I saw some social media chatter about that. So if she is, then and this win propels her to that milestone. All congratulations to Bianca Belair. She's one of the best, and she's one of the few that I think the "you deserve it" chants actually are deserving. There's an I Quit match with Edge and Finn Balor, which again on paper I thought was going to be a better match than what it was. Now, as far as the first half of it, the second half of it I absolutely love, but it was a little, I don't know, I didn't like the way they started the match. But eventually they got into it, and again, the conclusions and this whole feud now is just drama, moments. The match kind of took a back seat to all of the drama with so many run-ins. Judgment Day coming out there, you had a whole part of this match which was absolutely kind of a little bit edgy for WWE considering the story here, but Dominic beaten up and like literally beating the tar out of his dad, Rey Mysterio Jr., and just and the Edge getting the call, the receipt on that that hilarious nut kick he took at the event in the UK, and now here's him giving the receipt to Dominic and kicking him in the nuts, and like, yeah, Michael Cole is going apoplectic, as the word is, on commentary about Dominic and really getting over. I noticed Dominic's mannerisms and his, he mouths like, hey, wait a minute. He's got a heel side to him. It's much better than his babyface side. So I think he's got a little knack for this. I see just him studying Ric Flair clearly. With the way he was begging off from Edge at points in this match. But we did get the standoff finally between Beth Phoenix and Rhea Ripley. The two women went at it, and the crowd was eating this up. But unfortunately, Beth Phoenix coming in there to help her husband proved to be the reason of the downfall for Edge in this match. Whereas, Edge wasn't giving up. He took 3 coup de grace to the gut and probably was banged up, or, kayfabe was banged up and wasn't going to quit the match because it's an I Quit match. But then we get to Rhea Ripley again being the constant in this match. She handcuffed Edge at one point in this match, which is what brought out Beth Phoenix. But here she's got Beth Phoenix laid out, and we've got the chair and the concerto to Beth Phoenix, which Edge, just mortified, said, okay, I quit. And he said I quit to keep Rhea Ripley from doing it. And as soon as he did that, I was like, yeah, she's going to do it anyway. And sure enough, she did it anyway, because Rhea Ripley, she's one of the best female heels, man. Like, she's just dirty as hell. So I'm here for it. I do like the way this feud is panning out right now with the Judgment Day storyline. Where it's going to go, I'm not so sure, because it seems like they've kind of hit the major points outside of Rey having a match with Dominic, which I'm sure might be a WrestleMania match. Maybe they're going to keep it off until then, because that clearly is a big match that you want to have. Rey versus Dominic is what Rey went back to WWE for, to get his son this kind of an opportunity and this kind of spotlight. So well done on that. Karrion Kross took on Drew McIntyre, and again, the entrances, I gotta mention the entrances here. Karrion Kross getting his a version of his old entrance from NXT back is pretty cool. Scarlett out there doing the lip sync to the very goth pseudo goth kind of entrance music that he's got. When it comes to the theatrics and the moments like this, nobody beats WWE in this kind of stuff. The match for me, this was probably one of my least favorite matches on the night. It wasn't a terrible match, but it didn't really. I found myself wandering throughout the match. The finish again was very interesting. That Drew was about to pick up the win. Scarlett gets in the way. And I was half worried that she was going to spray mist in his face. But that's not what she did. She sprayed pepper spray in his face. Great selling by Karrion Kross, too, acting like he was reacting to it, too, because he had to go and get the pin. And then he's like, well, because, you know, if you... this has happened to me before. If somebody sprayed pepper spray in the general area and you're going away and the wind blows it to you, it's like, oh! And so I like the fact that he did that. A little weird that Scarlett wasn't. And the referee weren't affected by it, but it's all good. You know, details, you can't expect them to have details about everything. But I like the finish in this match. The match itself was okay for me. And in the main event, everybody's favorite wrestler, freaking Seth, freaking RVD, freaking Rollins here, and RVD garb here, kind of mocking things, you know. He's still on the whole 420 thing about Matt Riddle. Taking on Matt Riddle. Cormier, Daniel Cormier is the special guest referee here, famous mixed martial artist, UFC fighter, former UFC champion. He did say this is a one-off, but you know he's open to doing other stuff with the WWE in the future, which is kind of funny because Cormier was in a social media battle with the Young Bucks a couple years ago about how silly wrestling looked, but probably just how silly they looked. So I don't think Cormier would be an AEW guy. He's going to be the WWE guy. So as a referee in here, he did an okay job. You can see that he got it though. That you know there are times he should have been like early on in the match. Like even the announcers are yelling, and why is he not counting when Riddle gets hit really hard and Riddle's down and he's checking on Riddle and asking Riddle questions instead of counting because the rules of the match is it's a standing 10 count. The cage that they brought down for this too was an interesting cage. It was just a really tall cage, and then they put like a scaffold in the middle of it going around, which is funny enough because years ago I had this idea you know, all of us wrestling fans, we always try to come up with ideas for gimmick matches, and this was one of them. It was like, well, how can we do the scaffold match without doing the scaffold matches? Because the old school scaffold matches, if you guys saw some of my retro reviews of the old Starcades back in the day, those scaffold matches, watching them now are scary as hell because this is back in the days where there were no mats, no tables to fall through. If anybody slipped and made a mistake on these little tiny platforms, the Road Warriors, Midnight Express, Rock and Roll Express, all those teams that wrestled those matches back then, boy, that was a deadly fall from off the top of those I mean, it was legitimately a deadly fall, and some guys nearly fell off of that thing. So, you know, people gotten injured off just taking a bump off of that. Of course, the guy with the tennis racket his leg is busted forever. Matt Riddle might be joining him though, because at one point in this match, Seth climbs up to that scaffolding. Matt Riddle follows him up, goes up there with him, and they start battling up there. Corey Graves is like terrified at one point where it looks like Seth's going to do the buckle bomb from Riddle through the top of this cage. Now, the top of this cage is a little flimsy. So I can see why Corey Graves was like legitimately, or at least he sounded like he was legitimately worried and concerned about the bump, because Riddle could have easily either flown over top of that or gone through that wire mesh or whatever. That was some dangerous stuff up there. But at one point in time, funny enough, again, back to the Skywalker matches, the old scaffold matches, Seth Rollins does get knocked off the top of the scaffolding, but he does it kind of the way the old school guys would do it when they fell off the Skywalker matches. They would hang from underneath. So the actual distance they're falling is not from literally off the top of the scaffold. It's kind of like they're hanging so much so that it would be like them like jumping off the top rope essentially. And Rollins kind of did one of those tumbles off the top of this, but Riddle, boy, I hope he has some good green after this match, because boy, this bump he took, he did the Broton, which first I thought he slipped when he did it, because you can see him, he was kind of nervous in doing it. You see him like taking a deep breath before he did it, and I thought he was going to kind of leap, but he slid. It looks like he just let his feet kick out, and I thought for a second that he fell. I was like, oh no. And then he did, it was intended, did the Broton bomb on a Seth, but from that height, Riddle landed on his tailbone and on the right side of Seth's ribs, so I wouldn't be surprised if Seth is injured too. But man, that must have hurt, because Riddle landed square on his tailbone, and you could see him just howl in pain, and Cormier asking him if he's all right and all this stuff, man. That was crazy. But Riddle soldiered on. I know his ass and his spine must have been killing him. But much like the Ronda Rousey match, this match also ends with a tap out submission that the crowd also seemed to be surprised by. And it's very interesting because it's not uncommon in WWE to see these kind of finishes in matches, but I don't think the WWE audience is very familiar with them. But I immediately thought about, because I do watch other wrestling, that in New Japan Pro Wrestling, that totally would have been the crowd would have been eating themselves alive, trying to see. And plus, I do think that the New Japan guys, they're used to that. That's more of a crowd pop in Japan than it is in the United States. The whole submission, are they going to tap, aren't they going to tap thing, because we've seen, if you watch New Japan, you know that sometimes when they get in those spots and you think, oh, they're going to get out of it, they don't, and people tap, and you're like, and the crowd is already into it because they know that any tap out can happen at any moment in those matches. But the WWE Western audience, I don't think, is used to that style of finish to a match, and to have two of them on this show, both of MMA people or former MMA wrestler or fighters, I think I did see some people complaining, but I don't think it was anything too badly. The momentum did kind of wane as this match got started, though. Fans started chanting a couple other things, but overall, at the end of the day, I enjoyed this pay-per-view. This was a fun pay-per-view. It had some pretty some pretty sick matches on there. The 6-man, I definitely would suggest. I do think Seth and Riddle's match is worth watching. Bianca Belair and Bayley nearly stole the show. Those were some of the best matches on the card. So, and just all the drama in the match between Edge and Finn Balor in the I Quit match. It was a solid storytelling show, which is what we've gotten from Triple H. Things seem to make sense and lead into other things, and there's callbacks to things. You saw that with a lot of the matches tonight. It's not like you're rewarded for actually watching this stuff more frequently, so you're like, oh, okay, I remember that happened at the last show, and they're bringing it back in this one. So they did a lot of that on this evening. So that was the main wrestling portion of the night, and then the lights went off, and of course, we all know that White Rabbit thing was coming around. Probably one of the worst kept secrets of this year. We have yet another return in a year of many, many, many returns. And it is Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, the Devourer of Worlds. The whole world is in his hand. And, they did these little shots where they had like people dressed up as his Firefly Funhouse, little weird creepy puppet master puppet things, and they were like putting spotlights on them. I think that part went on a little too long. Then we finally got the introduction of Bray coming through the door again. One of these things that, the theatrics, WWE always gets an A+ on these theatrical things, man. These entrances are just crazy. There's those really dilapidated door, and then the door swings open and it goes to black, and then you see the little lantern and everybody starts popping, and then he comes out with a new mask. Bray takes it off, and once again, another big pop because he reveals his face. It is Bray Wyatt. And he says, I'm here. And we go and cut off the pay-per-view, and that's how the show ended. So Bray Wyatt is now officially back in the WWE. If you don't know what that, by the way, he had that symbol up at the end, and it just reminded me of what this whole White Rabbit thing was like. It's like that cicada, I think it was cicada 3039 or something like that. I'll put a link down to it, but it was this whole coder treasure hunt, programmer, software engineer treasure hunt from several years ago, and there were you had to solve all these different algorithms and puzzles and stuff to find the next part, and the symbol was the cicada symbol, and that's why they called it the cicada 30 whatever it was, whatever the number was. And nobody ever knew what happened to the people that won the prize, who figured this stuff out and went to the location or whatever. So it's this urban legend, creepypasta mystery that actually did exist that's going around. And I see that's the influence for the new Bray Wyatt logo, which I thought was pretty cool. Kind of a wink and a nod to the people who know about that kind of stuff, which I am apparently one of them. But again, I thought this was a cool show. WWE, I think, has been doing a much better job of the shows, and this was even starting before Vince left. WrestleMania this year was pretty damn good, one of the best shows of the year, in my opinion. So, maybe we're slowly getting back to WWE. I think for me, WWE is, I can watch it now and enjoy the good parts, but I think the big thing is there aren't too many of those really bad parts that kind of sink the show. It's like they took out all the suck and left in all the good stuff that they were doing and just expanded on the good stuff they were doing before. Which I think is all the fans, hardcore fans, casual, whatever fans, people who like WWE but know they haven't been putting out their best effort in the last 10 years or so. That's all I think anybody really ever wanted from them. And I think we're on our way. We're getting a version of it now, and I think we're going to continue to get it in the future as long as Triple H is leading the creative direction there. But I want to know what you guys thought about Extreme Rules 2022 edition from World Wrestling Entertainment. Let your voice be heard down in the comment box below. Where do you think the stuff's going on with Judgment Day in the future? And Edge and Beth Phoenix and Rey Mysterio? When are we going to get that Dominic Rey Mysterio match? Is that coming sooner or later? What do you think all this matches up for Survivor Series? We know there's going to be some War Games matches at Survivor Series, so there is going to be a team-on-team thing. You'd have to think Imperium and Sheamus is the battling Bruisers, and Judgment Day and maybe even, day one, the table, Roman Reigns crew, maybe they're going to be involved with it. Who knows? But I'm very much looking forward to seeing where things go in the future with WWE right now. As far as they've got 3 storylines that I'm very, very interested in, and one of them wasn't even on the show, and I still enjoyed the show. So, hey, I guess I'm back to I think this is 3 in a row now. I've enjoyed a WWE pay-per-view, so pretty cool. But I want to know what you guys think. Again, let your voice be heard in the comment box below. I'll see you guys next time for more news, rumors, and reviews here on the Rant and Review Pro Wrestling. Have a good day.